Humanity's story didn't begin in cities, or on battlefields, or even with fire. It began in fear. Humans, well, our ancestors, have been around for a long, long time. Roughly 3 million years, in fact, if you count every species under the genus Homo. While that may seem like a blink in the cosmic timeline, for those of us stuck living it, every single one of those years was earned. Every advancement, every inch of progress, came at a price. And more often than not, the currency was blood. Over those millions of years, our predecessors witnessed wonders and horrors alike. Towering beasts, cataclysmic climate shifts, and a never-ending parade of predators lurking in the darkness. This planet wasn't always ours. Far from it. In fact, for most of our existence, we weren't the hunters. We were the hunted. Our ancestors lived side by side with monstrous animals that modern man can barely comprehend. Saber-toothed cats with fangs like daggers, predatory bears the size of minivans, ancient elephants that dwarfed even the mighty T-Rex. And these weren't zoo creatures or far-off curiosities. These were neighbors. And occasionally, lunch. Fossil evidence has revealed a grim truth. We were prey. Not just occasionally, not by accident. Regularly. Some animals actively hunted early humans. And while each of these ancient predators was terrifying, there's one that stands above all the rest. One creature, still alive today in a far smaller form, that was once the ultimate nightmare of our species. This is the story of the largest carnivore to ever hunt humans. A monster that didn't just kill, it swallowed us whole. Today, the deadliest predator to humans isn't a lion or a shark. It's not a bear or even a venomous snake. It's the crocodile. Modern crocodiles are the largest reptiles alive. They're found across the tropics, quietly wading in rivers, lakes, and swamps. And they still kill hundreds of humans every single year, not out of defense, but because they see us as food. And yet, what we deal with today is just a shadow of what once was. You see, when we say crocodile, we're talking about a family tree stretching back tens of millions of years. And in the ancient branches of that tree was a monster, one we only recently rediscovered. Its name? Crocodylus thorbjarnarsoni. And it may be the largest true crocodile to have ever lived. For over 1 million years, this creature haunted the waterways of ancient Africa. And then it vanished, lost to time, forgotten by humans. Until a recent dig near Lake Turkana in Kenya changed everything. There, embedded in the earth, researchers unearthed skulls. Huge skulls. Skulls so large, they couldn't possibly belong to any known modern species. Carbon dating placed them between 5.3 and 1.8 million years ago, right in the era when early hominins like Homo habilis, Paranthropus, and Kenyanthropus walked the earth. These weren't just fossils. They were evidence of a predator, one that very likely shared the same watering holes, same riversides, and same hunting grounds as our own ancient ancestors. And it didn't just scare them. It ate them. The average skull found was comparable in size to the biggest saltwater crocodile skulls ever recorded. But the full body? Even larger. Conservative estimates suggest it reached lengths of 25 feet. But further analysis revealed that these were likely underestimates. Some individuals may have grown beyond 27 feet, 8.2 meters. That's nearly the length of a city bus. Weight estimates push over 2.5 tons, making it heavier than a hippo and far more agile in water. Its body was thick and muscular, its bones armored with crocodilian plating. A natural tank, designed not just to survive, but to dominate. Its skull alone housed one of the most powerful bites in the history of life on Earth. Stronger than the saltwater crocodile, capable of shattering bone, crushing skulls, or dragging full-grown hominins underwater in seconds. Early humans lived near rivers and lakes, not out of convenience, but out of necessity. Fresh water, fish, resources, all of it drew them in. But in those same waters, concealed just below the surface, lurked Thorbjarnarsoni. Its hunting style was simple, brutal, and horrifyingly effective. Using its powerful tail and stealthy approach, it could launch itself toward the bank with terrifying speed, snatch an unsuspecting hominin, and disappear beneath the surface before the others could even react. Imagine being a creature just 4 feet tall, weighing less than 100 pounds, and facing a beast over 6 times your size. You wouldn't stand a chance. And many didn't. But here's the curious part. Despite knowing these crocodiles existed, and knowing early humans lived in the same region, there are no fossilized human bones with crocodile bite marks. But researchers have 2 theories. The first is grim. Due to the immense size of Thorbjarnarsoni and the small frame of early hominins, victims were likely swallowed whole. No bones, no scratches, no remains, just gun. Picture a modern saltwater crocodile devouring a French bulldog. That's the scale we're talking about. The second theory is more optimistic. Maybe early hominins knew these waters were death traps. Maybe their keen awareness and learning instincts helped them avoid the crocs, at least most of the time. But even then, scientists are confident people did die, just not in ways that left behind traces. Crocodylus thorbjarnarsoni eventually went extinct, though we're still not sure exactly why. Climate change, competition, or simply time may have played a role. But its legacy remains, buried beneath millennia of sediment and etched into the very DNA of human fear. Even today, we instinctively avoid dark, still waters. We shiver at the idea of unseen eyes beneath the surface. That ancient dread? It's not irrational. It's inherited, because once upon a time, we weren't the rulers of this planet. We were just meat. From prey to predator, from stone tools to satellites, humans have come a long way. But that journey was paved with terror. For millions of years, our story wasn't just about survival against the elements, but against creatures beyond imagination. Monsters we couldn't fight, predators we couldn't outrun. And among them, the giant crocodile of ancient Africa was perhaps the worst of all. So next time you pass a still pond or a slow-moving river, remember, once, that water was home to a creature that ruled not just the water, but our nightmares. As terrifying as Crocodylus thorbjarnarsoni was, there's one chilling truth we can't ignore. There's still no direct fossil evidence of it preying on early humans. So even if we leave that behemoth in the possible but unconfirmed category, Crocodylus as a genus still holds the crown for the largest predator that consistently hunted our species. But here's where things get even more sinister. We don't even have to shift time periods to find the next contender. At nearly the same moment in prehistoric time, another monstrous croc was lurking in Africa's waters, Crocodylus anthropophagus. Its name quite literally means man-eater. Let that sink in. This creature appeared shortly after the extinction of Thorbjarnarsoni, as if nature was ensuring that something equally horrifying would take its place. Closely related to its predecessor, Anthropophagus was every bit as enormous. Fossil evidence suggests individuals reached 7.5 meters in length, or about 25 feet, and weighed over 2 tons. But what truly sets Anthropophagus apart isn't just its size, it's the violence it left behind. Unlike Thorbjarnarsoni, we do have physical evidence of this croc's bloody legacy. Several early human fossils, mostly from Homo habilis, show unmistakable crocodile bite marks. These aren't vague scratches or ambiguous cracks. These are clearly defined punctures, deep, crushing imprints in bone, often on the legs, indicating that many attacks happened by surprise as the victims waited near water's edge. And one particular fossil paints a nightmare scenario: a leg ripped clean off by Anthropophagus, followed by further mutilation from a large cat, possibly a saber-toothed predator. In that moment, one unlucky hominin became lunch for 2 apex killers. Brutal doesn't even begin to describe it. Paleontologists eventually asked a haunting question: why does Anthropophagus leave behind fossil bite marks, but Thorbjarnarsoni does not? After all, they were nearly identical in size and time. The answer, disturbingly enough, points to a terrifying possibility: size matters. All known bite mark evidence comes from smaller crocodiles. Once a croc surpassed a certain size threshold, it stopped leaving evidence behind, not because it stopped hunting humans, but because it was large enough to consume them whole. No bones, no remains, no trace. In essence, the biggest killers were the cleanest. The ultimate predators didn't leave fossils. They erased them. And these weren't just ordinary-looking crocodiles, either. Both Thorbjarnarsoni and Anthropophagus had bizarre features that added to their nightmarish presence: horns. Yes, horns. In Thorbjarnarsoni, they appeared as bony ridges above the eyes, somewhat like exaggerated versions of what we occasionally see in modern Nile crocodiles. But in Anthropophagus, the horns were positioned above the ears and were far more pronounced. These weren't flukes. They were standard features, particularly among males. Many experts believe these structures served a purpose, perhaps to intimidate rivals or attract mates. But whatever their function, one thing is certain: they made these beasts even more terrifying to behold. If you saw one of these horned monsters rising from the water, you'd know immediately it wasn't safe here. And it wasn't just humans at risk. Like modern crocs, these ancient giants were opportunistic predators. They'd attack anything they could overpower. That included early hominins, sure. But it also possibly extended to rhinos, hippos, or even juvenile elephants. So is there any good news? Well, maybe. Both Thorbjarnarsoni and Anthropophagus appear to have had limited ranges. Each species is known from only one region, primarily around Lake Tana in present-day Ethiopia and Tanzania. Some scientists argue we may just be missing fossils from elsewhere, but others think there's a reason these monsters stayed local. Their colossal size likely came with downsides. Giant crocs would have needed deep, cool water to avoid overheating, meaning fewer suitable habitats. Unlike their smaller cousins, they couldn't survive in shallow or warmer regions. They were prisoners of their own size. And size alone wasn't enough to save them. These crocs may have had slow metabolisms. Modern saltwater crocodiles, for example, can survive on less food than a human, but during times of drought or scarcity, that wasn't enough. The very bulk that made them dominant could also have made them vulnerable when conditions changed. By around 1.8 million years ago, both of these super predators were gone. Strangely, it may not have been mammals or humans that drove these beasts to extinction, but other crocodiles. Lake Tana alone was home to at least 3 other genera. The Nile crocodile, Crocodylus niloticus, still thriving today. And the ancient genus Mecistops, which survives as the slender-snout croc. And Euthecodon, another gargantuan species and a potential contender for the title of largest true crocodile. Estimates for Euthecodon range from 7.2 to over 8 meters long, possibly 24 to 28 feet. That would make it just as big or bigger than Thorbjarnarsoni. But there's a catch. The methods used to estimate Euthecodon's size tend to overestimate, unlike the conservative measurements used for Thorbjarnarsoni. And Euthecodon's anatomy suggests it was specialized, not for hunting land mammals, but for fish. Its snout was long, narrow, and lined with sharp, pointed teeth, much more like today's gharials. So, while its size was impressive, it likely wouldn't have posed the same threat to hominins as its horned cousins. Still, given the lack of written records and the scarcity of fossils, we can't say for sure. And frankly, I wouldn't want to be the one testing that theory in person. Ironically, all 3 of these megacrocs, Thorbjarnarsoni, Anthropophagus, and Euthecodon, disappeared before Homo sapiens ever showed up on the scene. Maybe their size became their downfall. Maybe they couldn't adapt fast enough to changing climates. Or maybe they were simply outcompeted by more efficient, smaller crocodiles. But make no mistake, crocodiles are still with us. And in Africa, as well as in many parts of Asia and Australia, they remain the largest predators around. The uneasy relationship between humans and crocs didn't end when the horned giants vanished. It continues today.